Thank you. I'm thrilled to be at this position in the talk. Lynn Sawchuk. Okay. So, it's a forum. Let's keep an open mind here. Okay, so having said that, I am conflicted. I'm happy to be here. I really am happy to talk about this. I'm passionate about it. I know this is what I know to be true and right, and that's what I want to walk you through in terms of our model, our strategy, our process, and how we, and our lens on it. So let's go. So just to give you I'm going to give you a quick overview of the program, who we are, what we do, how the kids get in, and then talk about outcomes, because that's where we will find the importance of why we do what we do. So let's go. So this is our program, our criteria for entry, 6 to 17 years old, greater than 95% BMI, 85% BMI for age with comorbidities. I have on the next slide a list of comorbidities. Parental participation. This is a family-based program. It's not a drop-off. We expect parents, we set a standard for participation, for parental participation, and English speaking. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes. Our materials and our program is completely held in English. We've tried translators. It doesn't work. So here's the medical eligibility criteria for those greater than 85 percentile through 95 percentile. So it's high blood pressure. These are comorbidities. The dysglycemia, dyslipidemias, obstructive sleep apnea. I want you to know that, and I'm going to show you the data at baseline. These kids come in 9, 10 years old with high blood pressure. Some mostly dyslipidemias, obstructive sleep apnea, it's huge. A few of us were at the Obesity conference in Montreal, where there was a lot of material and information on how sleep affects the outcome of behavior, eating, et cetera, and cognitive abilities as well. Fatty liver disease, that's a new one. That's a new one. It's going to make our teens with fatty livers now are going to make type 2 diabetes look like a walk in the park. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOD, again, which came first, the heavy weight or the disease, we're not sure, but again, if we know that as they reduce the fat on their body, this disease resolves itself as well. The glomerular sclerosis is a kidney thing. Orthopedic complications, I can't tell you how many kids are sitting in the office and they can't walk, they have joint pains, they have hip pains, they have the slipped hip joints as well, and they need surgery, but it's too dangerous to do it on them because of the fat levels in their bodies. Orthopedic, and the exercise intolerance, that's our default. So if a kid is in over 85 percentile and they're headed on the wrong lifestyle path, that we can default to, this kid just doesn't like to move their body. They're doing 7 to 10 hours a day of screen time. Family risk factors, parental obesity, and family history of coronary artery disease, myocardial, family history, metabolic syndrome. So there's a good reason if they come in with a comorbidity. So let's go. These are our pillars. This is what we center our work on, and I think it's very important that everyone understands our approach. It's multidisciplinary. Physician, I'll tell you about the core team. Family-centered. It's about the family. It's not about the kid, and lifestyle approach. It's how are you living? What activity do you have in life? What joy do you have in your life? What celebrations? What do you do together? What do you do apart? And that's a very, very key piece of things. Behavioral, we don't do diets, we don't do boot camps. It's all about shifting certain behaviors, and it ain't easy. That's why we have a team, and it's evidence-based. So our core team is RDs, Mental health, we have 2 registered psychologists and family physician, and we have fitness activity specialists who give support to the program. And this is a fabulous piece of what's going on now. I want to tell you, many of you may not know how we've developed that piece of things, and to facilitate not only in-group intervention, just kids' movement. We're not out to Olympicize kids and gold medal kids. We're out to just get them moving their bodies. They've come from a school setting where they are stigmatized, and they miss PE for any reason whatsoever because they're embarrassed, they're uncomfortable with their bodies. But here they are in a group of like kids themselves, and they come in sweating after half an hour. And it's about movement. It's not about cardiovascular exercise, just moving and having fun in the gym for half an hour with a specialist. So it's family-centered, individualized to meet needs of children and family. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It looks at family capacity, and it's culturally ethnic. We try and be as sensitive as we can, knowing that sometimes some of our ethnic families that come in are very patriarchal, and it doesn't go over well when you're teaching their teen to speak up to dad, and dad is out of there with the kid. So it's hard. You try and shift and work around that. We try and make it very conducive to that individual family's needs, culture, capacity, lifestyle approach. Non-diet approach, positive body image, self-acceptance. We do a lot of work around that on making these kids feel good about themselves, respectful guidance. What do you want to change? Why do you want to change it? What's realistic for you? Acknowledge barriers, that's a big piece. What prevents both child and family from going down the healthy path they should be? Environmental compatibility, we've just sort of entered on that phase as well, looking at what's your footprint, what is the environmental footprint of the way you eat or the food choices you make, if it's lots of convenience, lots of fast foods. So we, in a lot of ways, we do try to separate it out from the weight issue and I feel this information applies to all families. And again, I do agree with one of your points, Linda, in that this information should apply across the board. And one thing we do with the kids in the room with our families is say that all kids should be reducing their screen time. All kids should be eating more fruits and vegetables. This kid happened to be brought in for whatever reason, but it's across the board. We have a generation here that's just not cutting it at all. So behavioral, this is where our psychologist comes in, SMART goal setting. It's all about their own goals. We do not give out preformed menu plans, diet, recipes, calorie counts. We don't do any of that. And they have to set their own goals based on where they are, skills and tools to change behavior, motivational interviewing and readiness to change, and screening tools. We do a lot of that to screen for anxiety, depression, eating disorders, and family function. I want to show you the data on that because I think that that's really speaks to the heart and soul of what we do. And evidence-based, well, the evidence around the Canadian Clinical Practice Guidelines. We do ongoing evaluation and evaluation in terms of responsiveness to participation's indication of what more they need, what didn't work, what worked, what didn't work for them, and work around that. And I will emphasize too that we are not a research-based program. We are a delivery system, so that we're very cautious about people who want to take some of our kids, put them in a control group. We won't do that, and we won't do anything that will burden the families. We will do anything that will enhance outcomes, be positive, and make it a very successful experience for these families. So this is how it starts. We get an MD referral. We do telephone screening. If it's simple, it goes just to our secretary. If it gets more complicated, it goes to our psychologist to do some more screening, and it often gets complicated. And you'll see the data on that. So a family at that point can decline for their own reasons, and we are just wimps. anyone who wants to come virtually can come. We really don't reject a family, but if we see that it's really not going to work for them, we get them to recognize it themselves for the appropriate reasons. So they can decline because you're just too far away, I'm not going to come. They can decline, or they can be ineligible in terms of BMIs or readiness or whatever for their own reasons. If they pass on to be eligible with the early criteria I mentioned to you, and I do have my pamphlets out on the table here if anybody wants to take them. They go to a wait list, and then they may wait. It depends on how long, because our group intervention is age clustered. If there's a conflicting or a comorbidity that needs attention, it will not preclude their participation, but there may be a congruent intervention at the same time. So they'll still be waitlisted. Then they go to intake. Our intake is a 3.5-hour assessment. It's a medical bio and lifestyle assessment through our whole team. And we go to a case plan among our team, and then we bring them back for a feedback appointment. Within the context of all this is embedded. They do questionnaires online. We're looking to get an understanding of this family, for them to understand, for us to understand their barriers, their challenges, the good stuff, their strengths, their weaknesses, because that's what we will build on for them and show them where the good stuff is as well. Also, it professes to them our seriousness about this, our seriousness around commitment to it, that we want to, we take this very seriously. This isn't a drop-in, that we understand. We understand that it's not easy, that, there is a team here because we want to support the changes that you do want to make. And there are setbacks, there are step forwards, a couple steps back. So it puts it in a nice framework around it in terms of our standard, because they will get out of it what they put into the program, but we're setting the standard pretty high. And we start with ourselves first, so we model that. So after the case planning, they return for a feedback appointment. They get the results of our case plan, usually blood work. I'm going to talk about that. And then we go to intervention. And the intervention is a 10-week group session. That's the major portion of what we do is a 10-week group intervention. There's craving. You've heard about the craving change model. We've taken it and adapted it to reinforce to the teens. We have a teen group just finishing now, and we'll do 3 more sessions of craving change just with the teens to reinforce the emotional aspects of why you choose the foods you do. So we'll be working with the kids. We keep evolving around the program to see what more they need. We're always asking, we're always looking at the literature, we're always visiting other people and saying, what works, what doesn't work, and trying to build it so that it works. Modified sessions, just off the side, it's just that we try to accommodate those where they have cognitive or behavioral issues and can't participate in the full program. We try and offer something, and we're working on that piece. I'm not going to get into all of that. And then follow-up, that's another piece we're working on. We're trying to build, it's our weak link. We do not want to let them go. We found that the connectedness, the connection to our staff, to our program is critical in terms of sustaining or maintaining some of their good achievements during that time with us. So we're building that piece. I'll leave it at that right now. What we do in group has to do with 10 weekly sessions. It's co-facilitated. We have the children and parents together at a point, then we separate them, and they do 30 minutes of activity with the YMCA instructor. The weekend family activity session, this is something I'm very excited to talk about because we have a fabulous partnership with the YMCA. I think that's key. I think we have to get our families back to their communities and involved in their own communities and wean them away from us at Children's Hospital, but just back in their own communities. What we've done with the Y is we've added, in addition to the evening session that the family attends during the week, we've added a weekend session for 1 hour, a Saturday or a Sunday. They can choose either. For 1 hour, the family is expected to attend with the child, and it's a family activity session. We've set it up with the Y. It's strictly for our families. Families that attend all those weekend sessions during their 10-week intervention get a 3-month family membership at the Y with family coaching. The ones that attend 6 sessions get a 1-month membership with family coaching. Those that sort of sporadically attended do get passes to the Y. The family coaching piece is the exciting piece for us now, because the Y built it just for us, for our program, for our families, so the families can connect with someone. They want to go in, they want to know Susie or Sally or whatever who's there for them, and they get to know when they're introduced to the Y and the other programs at the Y. So, and we're building that right now. We're working on a number of initiatives that will continue in our follow-up. This will become part of our follow-up with the Y. We're also putting into place now a summer camp, not a fat camp, but an activity session for our children to continue to attend at the Y. This is the Y Langara at 49th and Cambie. We're expanding to the Tong Louis Y in Surrey. And the topics: nutrition education, reading labels, portion sizes, menu planning, eating family meals together, why, sugar in the drinks, that basic stuff. Goal setting is the critical underpinning of it all. Parent skills training, parent skills training, parent skills training. This is huge in terms of parents understanding, and many of you have seen me talk about the boundary, the generation line of the balance between loving and limits, nurturing and loving and setting limits for your kids. A lot of these kids have no limits in their life, and it extends in many, many areas. That's a whole other area. Communication skills and self-esteem, the parent's self-esteem, building your child's self-esteem, the child's self-esteem, huge part of what we do. Treatment goals, this is key. I want you to understand that. I'm going to illustrate this. To facilitate changes that lead to sustainable, enjoyable, healthy lifestyle habits. We really should call ourselves, as I think about it more, the Center for Healthy Living, because that is what we're after, healthy living, and it's individualized. And remember, we're dealing with children from 6 to 17 years old. Now, I want to show you, rule of thumb is it could be weight maintenance, some it could be a half a pound or so a week, not more than a pound a week. It's always a red flag. This is in the teens group. If a kid's coming in, they've lost 4 pounds, we pull them right out. So it's not weight focused, I'll say that. I want to show you, again, this is in terms of weight maintenance, and this is in terms of the lens. He's talked about the lens and looking at what is successful, and I think it's very important in terms of how you measure success. And when we got the funding, they go, well, how much weight are they losing? How much weight are they losing? And that's a paradigm shift that we really have to work on, because if they want to lose weight, bariatric surgery works, yeah. So this is not what we're after. We're after healthy lifestyle change. So look at this. So this is a young one, I think about 12 years old. Weight is up, it's off the charts, it's going up, BMI is going up. If we can hold on to the weight, if we can stop the velocity of weight gain, the BMI will come down because we have a growing child. So that's what we love. And I want to show you this case study because I think it represents it beautifully. So here's a little 9-year-old. Cute as a button, cute little girl, 9 years old. At intake, she was 56 kilos, 142 centimeters. Her BMI was 28, 99 percentile, waist to hip 97, blah, blah, all that. So that's what she comes in like. Here's her BMI, which we're still using, is the BMI chart. And this is this a WHO growth or a CDC? I think it's a WHO. Anyhow, so here's our girl. Here's her risk factors. Mom's BMI is high. This little girl has an ENT history of nasal obstruction, poor sleep, poor chewing habits. All this stuff is going on. TV in the bedroom, excessive screen time, that's what she does. And lots of worry, lots of bullying and teasing going on. Okay, so this is her blood work. You can see that there's some dyslipidemia already, 9 years old. 9 years old, and here she is. I'm going to show you 1 year later. The weight, take a look at the weight. It's up to 58. She's grown 153 centimeters. She's up, therefore her BMI is down to 24. Her waist to hip ratio has reduced itself as well. So there we go. There's the BMI. So we haven't lost weight. That's fantastic, but she's grown. We've held on to the velocity of the weight gain, because if, and this is 1 year later, if you don't see this little girl, or she'd never come in, her natural weight history with at least one obese parent would be to continue on the first line we saw there. This is her blood work, it's all improved. So that's our good news. That's our celebration. That was just one case. I'm going to give you overview now. Overview data. We've been in place formally since 2006. I was involved in the pilot in 2003, and we've come a long way, baby. And I'm very excited about where we're going. So here's our data overview. Over 700 referrals. 48% of those kids, at least half the kids, 99 percentile for age. The rest are over 97 percentile for age. The mother's BMI over 30, and the fathers are over. So you can see the BMIs. These kids are usually nestled within a family unit that all has to take a look at their living situation. Referrals by age and sex. The 9 to 11-year-olds are a big referral source. Mostly boys, more boys than girls, but it doesn't matter. So 9 to 11, love that age. The kids are really happy to please. It's a wonderful, because they're growing, and it's not about a diet. It's about, you got to eat more fruit today, or eating more vegetables today. And usually for the whole family, it's about sitting down at a meal together and all those pieces of things. It's really nice. When you get into the teens, much tougher group, much tougher to work with. 2 years ago, we put into place a formal evaluation. So we looked at medical, lifestyle, psychosocial, family, and the whole program evaluation. This is what you want to see. You need data, of course, to justify your funding. So I'm going to show you our research schedule that we set up was at intake, then the first session of group, because there could be a gap from the time we first saw them at that intake, that 3-hour intake appointment, to the time of when they started group. Could be 2 or 3 months down the road when the age group was appropriate, or it could be 2 weeks. But we always redid the measurements at first session and at 10 weeks last session of group. And you can see what we did, height, weight, hip to waist, psychosocial measures, blood work, and cholesterol fasting, insulin fasting, and and we did a fitness test. Okay, so baseline characteristics in terms of, we had 119 kids involved in this evaluation piece over the 2-year period. 119 kids, mostly Caucasian, but the rest are a real mix of other ethnicities that come around. Breakdown is, you should know this, Vancouver is our biggest referral source. Richmond is pretty good, but Fraser Health guys, go back there. We got a huge, it's almost equivalent in terms of number from Fraser Health that come in. Attendance rate, we have fabulous attendance. We have low attrition, it's less than 13%. And these are the numbers who attend all 10 sessions. Medical data output, this is what everybody wants to hear in terms of the docs. This is what's important too, is that we don't, it's not, take away the BMI and take away the scale. When you do blood work on these little kids and already have the 3 out of the 5 factors for metabolic syndrome, it's concerning. It's not okay. So we look at this and we see this already in these young kids. This evidence of comorbidities. Now look at the mean paired samples. Baseline was at the beginning, and then at evaluation was 10 weeks post-group. So we have a HOMA-RI, that's the insulin resistance factor. Lots of the kids have the AN, the acanthosis nigricans, that brown, heavy, mottled skin areas. Mother's been trying to scrape it off for 3 years, and that's the insulin resistance factor. There is some improvement, not statistically significant. Fasting insulin improves, and fasting glucose improves. So the docs are happy now to see the blood work change. Some change in BMI, not huge. We're not after huge changes. We don't do strict diets. And waist circumference. And we know all these pieces are linked to health factors as well. There is some change in BMI. Okay, psychological. This is important. When this is baseline data, when the child first appears, 49% already have internalizing behaviors. That is somatic complaints. They arrive with headaches, stomach aches. That's what brings them in. Most of the parents will, I've spoken to many, many, many mums who will call and say, the child's very heavy. I know she doesn't like to put on a bathing suit, doesn't like to go outside and play with other friends because they're very self-conscious, but they're happy enough. I don't want to create an eating problem. So by the time we get to see a lot of these kids, 50% have internalizing behaviors. There's some psychological concerns already that are going on. Beck, this is the child behavior checklist. This is some of the screening we do. So pre and post, the blue is the pre, the yellow is the post. You can see in terms of self-concept, anxiety, and depression, some nice improvements in the kids. We know that, we see that. We see that visually in terms of a child who comes in terms of just their physical stance in the room. By the end of group, they are out there, they're standing straight, they're engaged, they're participatory. Family cohesion, improvements all along the scale, expressiveness within the family. These are all scales we do pre and post. Analysis conflict, down. Physical activity output, I'll just go through this real quick, is we know for sure that the changes in screen time, let me just, moderate to physical activity significantly increased and was associated with decreases in BMI. So we know they started to move more. We're not talking about working out at gyms. These kids have just started, they've started to ride their bike to school. Mom has stopped driving them 2 blocks to school. They're walking. This is physical inactivity. This is sedentary behaviors. Look at the change in TV movie time, computer time, and computer time. A lot of these kids have significant, it's not like they're watching an hour of TV a week and we're on their case. They're spending hours. That's their social interaction. So again, big changes. This is just one thing. I'm going to show it to you with the following concern around it. This is raw data I pulled out. We do a yes questionnaire online. The families do it pre and post. And I pulled it out. I'm almost done. But I want you to see this because I love this stuff. This is to me the heart and soul of what we do. But it's raw data. The last time I took a stats course, there weren't any computers. So I just want you to have a quick look. Look at the bottom. This is a pre of 225, an N of 42. It's harder to get them to fill in questionnaires after they finish the group sessions. But do you drink non-diet pop? And what I'm looking at is food behaviors and some of the choices they're making, because to me, that's what we want to change. I don't care what the kid weighs. I want to change that behavior because the skinny ones walking around with a bathtub full of pop are not healthier. And we make that very clear. Okay, so look at the bottom part because that speaks to how frequently and the reduction. Look at the percentages and the change in pre and post. These are the sugary drinks. I realized after I popped, I couldn't stop and say, do you drink anything else? I had to give them a list of other options because otherwise they wouldn't tell me. So again, there's some nice decreases in the percentage. This is what I love. Fruit juices, we feel it's in the same category in terms of the sweetened drinks. Also, if you look to the bottom part of the slide, you'll see some nice reductions in percentages. How many times each week do you usually eat at a fast food restaurant? Some nice reductions there. Get them to stop eating out. And the French fries, the fried potatoes. These are questions taken from Harvard Food Frequency Questionnaire and the Canadian Community Health Survey. So we plug them into our database. Then we go to this piece, which we want the bottom part to be higher, is eating together with your family, eating fruit more often. We don't know why everyone doesn't have scurvy. Green salads, we love Caesar salad. Do you eat salad? See, everybody's eating Caesar salad. Raw or cooked, remember these are from the health survey, and eating other vegetables. So, those are the pieces. You say, what's important? For me, for us, for a lot of our team, we love this kind of stuff. When we see the behavior, when we get the feedback, when the kids say to us, the parts where we learned about your feelings, the information about healthy eating, learning how to deal with emotional stuff, communicate, everything was valuable, the group setting. Of course, there was nothing negative. Learning to prioritize my life, my family all started to help me in a good way, learning all about healthy foods, planning your life. So it's about awareness and planning and how to talk to your parents. What did the parents say? Supportive understanding. There was an advanced shape down. In other words, we're looking at the follow-up piece and we're putting that in place. We get that. Worthwhile experience, thanks for everything. So when we hear this and when mom comes to us or dad comes to us in tears, because even part of it was the drive into the program. And you know what, we're spending time together. And we haven't done that before, and the kids love it. So there's so many soft pieces that come to us just anecdotally that we love to hear. But then there's the other pieces about changing some of the behaviors. We're in an obesogenic environment. You've heard that by many academics. It's true. We have to turn it around for all kids, for all our families. These kids just happen to present with some medical concerns and psychological concerns as well. So that's us. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.